Alright, Basquiat, NYC's most riveting 80s painting. Let's learn a little bit about Basquiat. I've always heard his name, but I've not really gone into shit like that.
Any anger in your life?
Of course there is. Yeah, of course there is.
Talk about that. Tell me what the anger is. What are you angry about?
Jean-Michel Basquiat was just 27 years old when he died in 1988 from a heroin overdose. In the 30 years since his death, the prices of his art have climbed up. And in 2017, a Japanese billionaire bought the artist's untitled painting for $110.5 million, setting a new record for the highest price ever paid at an auction for an American artist's work. Today, everyone remains fascinated by Basquiat. His life is compelling, and his work is impossible to look away from. As one of the few Black American painters to break through into international consciousness, he's been referenced a lot in hip-hop, from Kanye to Jay-Z to Nas. In many ways, Basquiat was more like a rock star than anything else. His rise to fame was extremely swift, and he enjoyed his celebrity status. He was charismatic, he was a ladies' man, and dated lots of women, including Madonna, and he loved to party.
He dated Madonna. Okay, it's starting to make some sense now. This nigga was in the cheeks.
Received massive acclaim in just a few short years, and in 1983 he met one of his heroes, Andy Warhol, who would become his mentor and friend. Ultimately, Basquiat seemed like someone that had a lot of fun while he was around. He was deeply talented, and his art was always driven by his spirit.
He did prime Madonna, bro. I'm saying, hey, he got Riz.
What are you angry about?
I don't remember.
Graffiti isn't merely about decoration, it's about relaying a message. It's about marking your presence and letting the world know that you were there. Jean-Michel Basquiat was born on December 22, 1960 in Brooklyn, New York, back when
I had a Van Gogh painting in my house, and I didn't even know it was Van Gogh. Probably a copy, but still. Which one? Or is it gone?
Graffiti art was at its infancy. His father was born in Haiti, and his mother was a New York native of Puerto Rican descent. She had a strong interest in art and fashion, and she'd take him to the Brooklyn Museum, the Museum of Modern Art, and the Metropolitan Museum. Inspired by what he saw, Basquiat was drawing incessantly as a child, and he was informed by what he saw on the TV, comic books, and his neighborhood. At 8 years old, Basquiat was playing in the street and got hit by a car and suffered severe internal injuries. He had to get his spleen removed, and while he recuperated, his mother gave him a copy of the medical textbook Gray's Anatomy, which is filled with anatomical drawings that would go on to influence his later work. That same year, Basquiat's family went through financial issues, initially caused by the cost of his hospital bills, and his parents.
Damn. It was in the video. It was my old house. Ooh, okay.
Split. His mother fell into a deep depression after the divorce and had to check into a mental hospital a little while later. Jean was forced to live with his father, who was incredibly harsh and would beat him. It's reported that one time he was beat so severely that he went to school the next day walking with a cane. Whenever he needed an escape, he would disappear into the crawl space beneath his staircase and cover it in drawings. Jean wasn't a fan of structured education and didn't like obedience. He moved between at least 5 different public schools. Eventually, in 1976, at the age of 15, he landed at the City as School, a refuge for gifted New York children who didn't respond well to traditional learning. It used the city's cultural institutions as classrooms and regularly gave its students subway tokens for rides to the Hayden Planetarium and MoMA. But he didn't last long there either. At his friend Al Diaz's graduation in 1977, he dumped a box of shaving cream on the principal's head as a dare. He didn't return for his last year of high school, but self-educated by visiting New York museums and creative hubs like Soho. There, his graffiti poetry, signed with the moniker Samo, which stood for same old shit, began to show up on walls.
Okay then, okay. Yeah, interesting life. His life is interesting. This shit like a damn near a movie.
John started Samo with his schoolmate Al Diaz. The pair was different from other decorative graffiti artists of the time. Their art was meant in part to be satire on corporations. Instead of pictures, Samo asked odd questions or made enigmatic philosophical declarations.
What we did was completely apart from the subway graffiti culture. It had nothing. The same old graffiti was almost a reaction to that. It was like, no, we're going to do something smart because we're smart guys and we want adults to read this.
The Samo tag was scattered all over Lower Manhattan and drew
Okay, cook.
a considerable amount of attention around New York. In a way, Samo went viral before virality was a thing. In December 1978, the duo appeared in an article in The Village Voice, which revealed their identities. And shortly after, Jean appeared on Glenn O'Brien's TV program, The TV Party.
TV Party in the past has brought you some of the most significant commentators on graffiti in New York. But tonight we're lucky enough to have with us probably the most language-oriented of all graffiti artists in New York, Samo, and his associate. Samo, sorry.
It's Mr. Samo. It's my personal secretary.
Sorry, Mr. Samo. Do you write something different every time, or do you write the,
I've read the same thing before, just... It all depends, like how...
My question is, why is this nigga head like shiny bald? Was this a deer as well?
I feel.
This is around the time that Samo ended. Jean saw it as a vehicle. In a way, the graffiti was...
Do you think the origin of cotton is still there? I don't know.
an advertisement for himself.
It was Cafe Terrace at night. That's what it was? Cafe Terrace at night. Oh shit. I low-key like this painting.
And he had his eyes on becoming a famous artist.
And he was very diligent in his climb to popularity and fame. It was part of his master plan.
It should be noted that during these early years, Basquiat was extremely poor. His diet at the time consisted of cheap red wine and 15-cent bags of Cheetos.
I was determined not to go home again.
But did you think I could be a bum forever?
Yeah, sort of I did, yeah.
Yeah?
And I could be, I thought I was going to be a bum forever.
Jean would jump from couch to couch and
out on kick, nigga. Say please, nigga. Learn to say please, nigga.
panhandle and sell hand-painted postcards to make a little money. One day he saw famous artist Andy Warhol inside of a restaurant, so he walked right in, introduced himself, and proceeded to sell him one of his postcards. TV party host Glenn O'Brien asked then 19-year-old Jean to star in a movie he wrote called Downtown 81. The movie was abandoned in the mid-80s due to financial issues, and it got released 20 years later at the 2000 Cannes Film Festival. The movie is a hardly fictional look at New York City's dawn of the 80s art scene, where Jean plays a version of himself. He was homeless at the time of the movie, and slept in the production office during most of the shooting. The film production crew bought him canvases and paints to make paintings for the film. So all the paintings you see in this movie belonging to his character were done by him. After the movie, he moved in with then-girlfriend Suzanne Malik, who supported him financially. She paid the rent waitressing while he worked fanatically at home. Because he had no money for canvases, he painted on anything he could find, from doors and briefcases he found on the street, to permanent elements in their flat, like the fridge, the TV, walls, and floors. Every surface was covered. He even painted on her clothes.
Very interesting. How y'all feel about that? I hate this haircut. I'm not gonna lie to y'all niggas. I really hate that.
Walls and floors. Every surface was covered. He even painted on her clothes.
That reminds me of like how just his art reminds me of like how a child would do art. A kid would just use the world as his canvas, and he wouldn't stick to any fucking rules. He would just create.
Later that year, when he was still 19, he received his first write-up in the art press. Then critic Jeffrey Deitch spotted his work in the Times Square show.
That was my dad's haircut, the bald one. No shot.
Calling his paintings a, quote, knockout combination of de Kooning and subway spray paint. In February 1981, Jean was featured in the New York/New Wave show at PS1, put on by Diego Cortez. Of more than 100 artists, he was the only one to be given a prominent space for paintings and showed more than 20 works in the final room of the show. Anina Nosei, a gallery owner in Soho, saw his work and felt an immediate connection to it. She asked to represent him, but besides what he exhibited, he had no additional paintings. He needed money and a place to paint, so she offered up her gallery's basement storeroom as a studio, and he got to work. He worked several canvases at a time, dancing from one surface to the other. He could finish 2
How many lost paintings you think he has? Like destroyed or burnt and shit. Probably has a lot. He probably has a lot. I think a lot of his paintings probably just got like seized or bought out by some random company.
2 or 3 paintings in a day. His work resonated with many in the art world who were eager to cast off the minimalist trend that dominated the late 60s and 70s. Basquiat became a pioneer in Expressionism. In March 1982, at the age of 21, Anina put on his first solo show, and it was a hit. Everything sold, and he made $200,000 in one night. Later that year, he became the youngest artist to exhibit at Documenta 7 in Kassel, Germany. So in an extremely short amount of time, Basquiat had become a star, and he had a strict regimen, work during the day and party at night.
My type of guy.
Downtown Manhattan became a melting pot of the arts at the end of the 1970s. The downtown crowd of the time consciously set out to be unpretentious, and the scene drew everyone from lawyers to local suburban punks. Clubs hosted DJs, live bands, performances, exhibitions, film screenings, and fashion shows. In the lower Manhattan underground scene, one club in particular became a staple, the Mud Club. For Jean, it was virtually a second home. It was the first nightclub in New York that also functioned as a gallery. Jean always loved smoking joints, but with a new steady stream of cash flowing in his pockets, he started to indulge heavily in cocaine and tried heroin, although it didn't initially affect his output. He described this time saying, quote, "I had some money, I made the best paintings ever, I was completely reclusive, worked a lot, took a lot of drugs."
So do you have a specific method of working? Do you have certain hours that you always work? Do you?
I just have to. I'm usually in front of the television. I have to have some source material around me, to work
what?
off. Magazines, textbooks.
You don't mind having a lot of people around too while you're painting too?
I think I'd rather work alone more than anything. I used to have assistants a lot around me, and then on days when they wouldn't come, it would be a lot more productive.
The first really
Okay, interesting. Holy shit. Castle is a couple hours away from me. I can see the original paintings there. Go see him.
major press for Jean-Michel happened in 1985, when the New York Times Magazine ran a cover story on Basquiat titled "New Art, New Money." The tone of the article was both odd and suspicious. There were some critics at the time who weren't as hot on the artist.
The art world, which is full of liberal left-wing types, was feeling that they needed to make a bow in that direction. The disadvantaged, minorities, and so on. His contribution to art is so minuscule as to be practically nil.
About the story that you're always being locked in the basement in order to paint.
That's just has a nasty edge to it, you know. I mean, I was never locked anywhere. I mean, if I was white, they would just say artist in residence rather than say all that other stuff. Most of my reviews have been more reviews on
your personality.
On my personality, yeah, more so than my work mostly. They're just racist, most of these people.
As his star power increased and his paintings became more and more valuable, he became more distrustful of the press and his friends. He started to think that people were surrounding him for exploitative reasons.
Go to a restaurant, they write about it in the post on page 6, you know. I like to remain a little reclusive and not be just, and be out there, you know, just to, you know, to be brought up and to be brought down, you know, like they do to most of them.
Yeah, sometimes they can tell on the country.
Well, they always do. I can't think of one big celebrity type person who they haven't done that to.
They tend on getting it.
Here and there.
Even though Basquiat was the darling of the art world, when he stepped out of that circle and away from those parties, he was still just a black man in the 80s living in New York City.
Me, Jean, we came outside. We were going to go downtown to have dinner. So Jean throws his hand up, you know, he's waiting for a cab. And 1 cab, 2 cab, 3 cab, 4 cab, 5 cabs like pass. And Jean would sometimes get mad because the cab would pass. He'd try to run up, like try to pull the door open. You fucker, you know? But you'd feel these moments, like it was just a part of being black and living in New York City. Like these things happen, you know what I'm saying?
Race entered his work more explicitly. He painted the ordeals and traumas black people in America faced. His focus on black culture was atypical of artists at the time, and his work helped bring attention to the lack of diversity in the art world.
I think there's a lot of people that are neglected in art. I don't know if it's who made the paintings or what, but I know black people are never really portrayed realistically not even portrayed in modern art enough.
Because of this, the black person became the protagonist in most of his paintings. The crown became one of Basquiat's most enduring motifs. In a way, it was a representation of his success. Basquiat, the king of the streets, had conquered the art world, and he chose to celebrate black kings because the world didn't. One afternoon, Swiss art dealer Bruno Bischofberger.
I see why Hove co-signed him now. He even has his own clothing, but oh my god, this shit is expensive. Yeah, he's dead now, so yeah, they probably are hiking up those prices.
Berger set up a lunch between Basquiat and Andy Warhol. Basquiat said he couldn't stay for lunch, disappeared, and came back 1 hour later with a portrait he drew of him and Andy. That lunch, their friendship began.
So I understand that you hobnob with the hobnobs. And you go to this club called Area.
Basquiat and Warhol were an unlikely pairing. It was the 80s cool kid with the king of pop art. Plenty of people speculated about the motives behind this unexpected friendship, and many thought the two were using each other for personal gain. Jean-Michel wanted to gain approval from the traditional art world and thought Warhol could help him get accepted. And Andy's art wasn't selling as well in the 80s, so he thought he needed Jean's new blood. Despite their agendas, the folks that were close to the pair speak of a genuine adoration and love between the two. They were remarkably close, and Andy loved Jean-Michel almost like a son.
I hung out with him and Andy several times during that period when they were very close. Andy was really giving great advice. Andy would like, Jean, did you do this? And you spoke to your mom, and did you blah, blah, blah? He'd go through this list of things, and Jean would be like, yeah, I did that, you know. So I was just like, okay, oh, wow, you know.
The pair collaborated on huge pieces of unstretched canvas, some of them 10 by 20 feet.
He would start most of the paintings. He'd start one of, put something very concrete or recognizable, like a newspaper headline or a product logo, and then I would sort of deface it, and then I would try to get him to work some more on it, and then I would work more on it. I would try to get him to do at least 2 things,
Mm-hmm.
He likes to do just one hit, and then
I don't really hear much about that. Artists collabing, especially with two very distinct styles. I don't hear a lot about that shit.
and then have me do all the work after that.
So did you have rules like you couldn't actually paint over?
I've seen a lot of clips of interviews with them together. I swear they were dating. I heard some people said that Basquiat was gay. Is that true? Let me get my water. I'm gonna get my water just now.
His stuff or
No, not at all. We used to paint over each other's stuff all the time.
Yeah.
The duo exhibited their work together in September 1985 when Warhol and Basquiat paintings opened at the Tony Shafrazi Gallery in Soho. However, the work was met with mostly negative reviews. Many of the critics claimed Warhol had used
I like the Zenith one. This Zenith one is kind of
Basquiat to stay relevant. One New York Times critic wrote, quote,
He was bisexual? Oh, okay.
collaboration looks like one of Warhol's
How can you
manipulations.
say yeah, but-
Basquiat, meanwhile, comes across as the all-too-willing accessory. It's not fully understood if Jean felt bad that he let Andy down, or if he believed the press, and that Andy was actually taking advantage of him. Either way, Basquiat left New York hurt and depressed. Tragically, the two would never make amends.
Yeah.
Andy Warhol died last week.
1 week ago today, as he lay in a hospital bed following gallbladder surgery, Andy Warhol's heart stopped beating.
Yeah.
His condition had been stable. No one had expected him.
So what happened? Hi, I bet you I can summon Angeli right now. Hi. Shh, we watching a documentary. I've been summoned. Told you. Yo, what's going on with y'all, bro? I low-key miss y'all too. How y'all been? How y'all been? How's the duo fan from Vancouver? And yeah, we're watching the documentary on Jean-Michel Basquiat. Good. Hey, bro, you better kiss Trin's boo boo, bro. You better kiss Trin's boo boo and tuck her in tonight. Shit.
Summer is a strange, it's a motherfucker in New York. It's hot. It's very lonely and empty.
I love Basquiat's music and his paintings. Kiss me, bitch. She said no. Bro, kiss her, Angeli. Stop being mean, bro. We gotta hear some of his music. What does he do? Jazz? What does he do? I feel like he's like the type of music he does. Does he sing? No.
In the summer.
On Friday, August 12th, 1988, his late girlfriend Kelly Inman received a call from Kevin. Jean was going
Jazz rock, okay.
With him to a Run DMC concert that evening. She climbed the stairs to their upstairs bedroom, saw him sleeping, and decided not to disturb him. Kevin rang again 3 hours later, and she again climbed the stairs. This time, she found Jean unresponsive, lying in a pool of vomit. He died of a heroin overdose at the age of 27. The brilliant, intense life of a most remarkable artist.
Bro, the 20... Yo, chat, how y'all feel about the 27 Club? Because I've been hearing this shit, and that shit looking kind of scary, bro. 27 Club kind of scary, bro.
His first truly important black painter was over. He left behind over 1,000 paintings in it. Jean-Michel is often misunderstood because of the way he died. But when you look at the totality of his life, he was triumphant. He did more in his short life than most people will ever do. One of the real tragedies of both Warhol and Basquiat's death is that both could have been prevented. Andy had an incompetent nurse, and Jean did the classic thing that heroin addicts do who shoot up after a hiatus. He had no idea what his tolerance was anymore. The other real tragedy is that the duo wasted their healthy relationship because of some bullshit critics that were wrong.
Fuck the critics. Real shit. Critics always yap and they always got something to say until you tell them, hey, lay a beat down, lay a verse down. Then they shut the fuck up.
Hindsight, their paintings are considered really good, but critics of the time were unable to see the potential for what the art could be. Their feud wasn't personal. Their separation felt much more...
27 got a curse, I swear. I was born in 27. I wouldn't say 27 have the curse. I think just something about that age, the age 27. I think the number 27 is a beautiful number. Now, I mean, I was born on the 26th. And listen, bro, I was literally born on the 26th, and when I went and looked back at it, it was the 270th day of the year. So technically, you could say that's the 27th day of the year. I was born on 9/11. What the fuck? Angeli, bro, what the fuck? You were born on 9/11. That's crazy birthday. I'm not going
more like a professional.
That's like chaos ass birthday. You gotta drop an album. The 27th day of the year is January 27th. You fucking moron. No, I'm saying 270th day of the year. If you take away the 0, it goes to 27. That's what I'm trying to say. Fuck, nigga. Oh my god, I'm speaking to morons. Like, come on, I have to break this down for y'all niggas. This is basic shit. Nigga, CJ, what was with that response? Dry ass response, nigga.
Decision. Basquiat distanced himself to protect his image. And I imagine that's why it must have hurt him so much when Andy passed, because their fight was so superficial. It's a shame Basquiat didn't have support in a deeper sense, so he didn't get so lonely and confused.
Yep. That's why I think Loki Ye is going nuts right now, because he doesn't trust anyone. He literally doesn't trust anyone. And he doesn't have like support systems he can fall back on to really, like, you know, that he could actually bounce ideas off of with people that he trusts. What the fuck you want me to do? What the fuck you want me to say? Stupid ass nigga. You want me to do cartwheels and shit. Damn, nigga, chill out, bro. I was just saying your response was dry. You got mad defensive. Did I hit a nerve? Same birthday with Bill Nye and Bruce Lee. I'm not gonna lie, sharing the same birthday as Bruce Lee is kind of comp. It's kind of comp. I'm not gonna lie. Same birthday as Bruce Lee is kind of comp. You should watch the documentary Killer Sally. Is it on YouTube? I'ma spit in your ads. I'ma spit in your ass. Nigga, come spit on his dick. Kanye used to paint. I actually find him nice. But goddamn, if he drew, let's just say... wait, Kanye used to paint? I didn't even know that.
Today, around 30 years after his death, Basquiat seems as relevant as ever.
It's all fun and games till I return niggas' energy. It's all fun and games till I return niggas' energy. I don't like when you flirt with me. Type shit.
You still see him appear in the news, but now it's usually about a collector buying his work for millions of dollars. Like in 2017 when his painting sold for a whopping $110.5 million.
I'm still
Or maybe
mine over 110 million for a fucking painting, bro. I'm telling you. Who in a right mind sits and decides, yo, yeah, this painting right here, this is $110 million. This is the one. I mean, this is fire, but 110?
17 when his painting sold for a whopping $110.5 million. Or maybe you see him on your Instagram feed, or hear about a fashion label like Supreme doing a collab with his estate, or a brand like Off-White using his
That's fire.
label like Supreme doing a collab
This is tough. So this is Basquiat shit? I might need it.
with his estate, or a brand like Off-White using his style as a reference point. Basquiat was ahead of his time, and his name and unique personal style have become frequent reference points in popular culture. Fellow Brooklyn native Jay-Z, for instance, famously compared himself to the artist in his 2013 song Picasso Baby. There is a great quote by Picasso that goes, "Learn the rules like a pro, so you can break them like an artist." I think that's exactly what Basquiat was doing. He grew up going to New York's finest museums. He drew every day. He knew his art and art history, and he had an appreciation for it. But he took that knowledge and added his own flavor. He intentionally broke the rules. And maybe that's one of the secrets of life. You prepare like crazy, you learn the fundamentals, you
Master the fundamentals so you could break them when needed. Hey man, I listened to music my whole life. And I'm learning this shit. I'm not learning no fundamentals though. I'm literally just like trying shit that I liked from like literally, bro. I literally play mix and match with my music. I take shit from inspiration from artists that I fuck with, and I throw them in. So it's gonna be like 27 songs, inspired by 27 songs, and pour it all into one song. Listen, I haven't reached that level yet where the shit is amazing, But hey, bro, more practice, more work.
You learn everything you can about something, and when an opportunity comes your way, you throw all that information away and you make it your own. I think I most admire Basquiat's creative freedom. I tend to judge myself in the process of creation. When I'm writing and I misspell a word, I go back and fix it before I move on. When I'm drawing, I'm held back by wanting things to look perfect. But as cliche as it sounds, a lot of the best art comes out of the mishaps. It comes from the stumble.
Facts. That's why I've been fucking with one takes. Because when you one take shit, it's bound to have imperfection in it. But I realized too, growing up too, like the more some sort of art, whether it's music, painting, or sculptures, the ones that you learn to love, or movies, the ones that you learn to love are the ones that you end up loving the most. Let that sink in. Oh my god, I'm cooking. God, holy shit. God damn. Fuck. That shit, nigga, modern philosopher, nigga. Call me Jaco Young. Fuck it.
Sometimes the stumbles are the magic. Basquiat didn't question himself. He painted because he had to. Whatever inspiration came his way, he channeled that into his canvas. Good art isn't just visual, rather it points a mirror in your face and addresses you as a viewer. What makes Jean's art so special is that it's never clear-cut.
This nigga. You gonna listen to Basquiat music? I want to go back to his most famous song. We could do that shit.
Doesn't tell you how to feel. You have to look at his art and try and pull meaning for yourself.
Muscle man, you've literally been driving my whole stream today. I hope you actually enjoyed this stream because almost everything you've asked me to check out, I've been checking out for you. So nigga, at least you gotta tell my stream to at least one person tomorrow, nigga. When you get back to school, you gotta tell my go fuck with Jacob Jordan, nigga. He trying to make it out the hizzer.